And welcome to the Learn Dota 2 League season. It's not season 10, guys. It's season 13. Nice ticket. I assume this is probably like a London ticket from season 10. It's not that. It's season 13. It's week 4, and 5G still does not have their own like team set up.
It's just gonna be the GGs, I guess.
Dude, I'm gonna flame them for this every match for the rest of the season. Anyway.
Seconded.
We're looking at DotFE, Defense of the Flat Earther. We're looking at the GGs, but they're not the GGs. They're 5G, which is barely different anyway. We got Randy.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
We got Ocelot.
Yeah, it's me. Legally distinct me.
And we got no Kunkka and no Enchantress. Very interesting bands there to start. On the other hand,
Well,
5G.
just for London.
Probably. On the other hand, probably the most boring bans of the last patch for 5G, knocking out Sand King and DP.
I'm just gonna make my statement on this. You know my opinion on first pick Witch Doctor.
Me too. I concur.
Dire team pick.
Tiny.
Oh, Lord.
First pick Tiny.
Second pick Omni
Yeah,
Knight.
that's a nasty pair right there.
That is going to be a hard thing to answer, no matter what these two are doing, basically. And Timbersaw is not, just to be blunt with you. I don't understand why they keep nerfing Timbersaw. It's like every patch he has like 45% less win rate at like all tiers. And it's just like, okay, nerf him some more, nerf him some more. He's not even winning in pro games. Like, what are they trying to do? Just give him a 0% pick rate?
5 seconds.
I guess, I'm not sure.
They're trying to nerf him like before they add the new Treant hero to the game, like a new one.
Treant Aggressor.
Yeah, Treant Aggressor.
It's Treant Protector, but he's just really pissed off.
He's got like Donkey Kong's coconut shotgun.
Don't come to school tomorrow.
Oh, careful with those ones. Careful.
No Void Spirit. Still looking at London heroes here. Assuming
Void Spirit's been pretty consistently banned lately.
No surprise, it's a very, very good hero. So many team comps, the second he gets Ags, your game is over. And a lot of people are doing like the E-Blade nonsense with him now, and like that works, that's fine. But like, I think the Ags build is still one of the strongest builds for any hero in the game. It is just, it's so hard to answer. You really do, it feels like need like an entire dedicated pick to stop it, and you need to make damn sure that whoever that is lives to see it happen. You're basically throwing a SWAT away for him, and he does more than that. No Puck. Really putting the thumb down on London. Meanwhile, on the other hand, no Medusa. Looking at the Katie heroes.
Yeah, Wizard doing scouting.
Yeah. I mean, Wizard and Katie played a lot in the lead up to this match, so...
That's true.
Interesting that Obi does not do the picking and banning. Does not even, like, formally do the process on the team that he's the captain of. Apparently Katie herself... Apparently Katie herself allegedly is doing the PB on DotFE. Now we're at King. It's another
ban
Katie.
for Wraith King?
Yep.
You know, in my honest opinion, it's easier to just ban Wraith King by picking a general hero that counters him than to just actually go with the, the ban slot. I think it's a bit unnecessary.
Probably, yeah.
10 seconds remaining.
I think I would agree with that.
Like even.
But then if you don't want
to,
to throw a pick at him.
Dire team back.
No, Necro.
Yeah, a couple of green boys.
Like, what if you have a team already in your head that you would like to pick, but the team doesn't like Wraith King?
It's a dangerous game, having the team in your head already. You're very ban weak.
10 seconds.
It's true, yeah, but...
5 seconds remaining.
Hey, it's one thing to come with a plan. It's another thing to come in with a team. I think
I'll
you kind of
make a
need to
draft
come in
for,
with
like,
a team.
It's a plan, like... I don't think a guy like Wizard is gonna necessarily have like the full draft completed in his head before the game starts. But
I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's just like we want Katie to play ineffectively this game. We're gonna say she plays 2 heroes and get rid of them.
the comfort bands are staple in LD2L. So
You know, I'm looking at their two first picks here. I can already see the combos are intending. Omni just hits up Tiny with the W and makes him literally God. Witch Doctor hits anybody with Maledict, though, and I can already tell you right now, Timbersaw is already really good at hitting people on the run. But someone with Maledict on the run, that is a very, very scary prospect. You've got, like, 10 seconds to get the hell away from him or to keep him from getting to you, or you die.
Yeah, the good news for the DotFE lineup right now is that Witch Doctor Timbersaw, even after all the Timber nerfs, would be a really, really, really hard lane for Tiny to deal with. The bad news is that it would be a very easy lane for Omni to deal with, and if they just duoed what they have right now in the safe lane, then it's just going to be the tragedy of just like, you know, Witch Doctor, you know, dumps Maledict on Tiny's head, Timbersaw comes in, goes crazy, and then Omni Knight hits one button and Tiny is fine.
Yeah, also, we're digging into more of GG's, reserve time here. I'm not so sure they can afford to keep burning that because they still got a handful more bans and picks to go through.
I do want to note that Omni's preferred build right now is not to max Q, it's to max W first, and then Q. So, it might not be that simple to heal Tiny back up.
Perhaps not, but the strength bonus is considerable.
But yeah, it's really broken. That's why people max it first.
And it really screws with the plan here, because if the play is Maledict and then Timbersaw shaves off the top of your health bar, Omni Knight just gives it right back to you.
Radiant team
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah.
Jakiro!
Okay.
Radiant
The most
team
boring pick.
Oh.
Ayo was the most boring
Dire
pick.
team pick.
Silencer.
Chaos Knight Silencer.
Ooh, okay.
What
Defense
does
of the Flat
Silencer-
Earthers team just got a
what does
lot
Silencer-
nastier.
But what does Silencer do in this game? He just stops Omni.
Stops
I'm not
Omnis.
so sure.
Stops Tiny as well, early game. Like,
Like,
core
yeah, super
or
early,
support,
like-
Tiny is going to have to be just staying in the jungle early game. He's not even going to be able to participate in fights, be too much of a risk. Like, if Tiny
More
shows up,
importantly,
if Tiny shows up, he's blinking, he's ready to avalanche and toss, and then suddenly silence. Well, what the hell is he going to do? He basically just needs BKB to fight.
The more
Sure.
important factor is that if Tiny dies and Silencer's near a bunch, even in the early game, that missing mana pool hits him really, really hard.
That's true.
Correct. Also hits Omni Knight really hard as well. Like, Omni Knight really does not have that much in for what
Radiant
he's
team
doing.
back.
Tidehunter.
And it hits this guy pretty hard, too. If they can
That's
get him.
a helpful counter pick towards Chaos Knight.
Yeah. It is.
Ty doesn't really care about Silencer's ult if he's the one getting beat up at the start or if he's caught in any AoEs,
Right,
which they have plenty of.
Ironically, the best thing for DotFE is if they global silence and then nobody even thinks about hitting Tidehunter. No Huskar, by the way.
I once saw a really, really beautiful Magnus
10 seconds remaining.
Magnus ult into a what was it called again?
5 seconds remaining.
Epicenter combo, and thanks, dog. And it nearly actually won the fight, but a stray cask from Witch Doctor bounced over to Tide, who was just stunned but wasn't really caught in the epi, because they were trying to keep him from hitting his ult because he was still, you know, stunned for forever. But that
Really?
coconut bounced and hit him,
Dire team
purged the stun.
Lennon
Set
might
off
be
Cracker
beating
Joe.
Magnus in this game, honestly.
You know, I wouldn't honestly bash it. It's a solid pick still, if you ask me.
Pretty sure that's what's coming.
Also, they
If
have
it's, if it's
literally
not Magnus, I honestly gotta posit that they could definitely
10
make
seconds
Earthshaker work. I think.
I just like to point out, by the way, that they are
5
out of
seconds
reserve time. They are completely dry. Used
Yeah, they
every
are.
single
Radiant
bit.
team pick.
No TA.
Was that a random?
No, they can't random bans. It just skips the ban if you run out of time.
Ooh, damn.
You know, I will say, I think OD sticks out like a sore thumb on this lineup. I feel like he's pretty contrary to what everybody else on this team wants to do.
No, I mentioned it a bit ago, but GG's I think could actually support a Earthshaker on their bench.
We're
Oh,
getting
no,
the
Magnus.
Yeah, London Magnus. Very well known in this hero. I'm not sure he's lost an LD2L game with it that I've seen yet.
There is a time he might. Silencer being on the board is definitely going to make things a lot more hairy for him. You know, if Silencer, and that is Alexa Jax, no slouch on that role. if Silencer does get like a well-timed ult off, it could be so devastating in this game. Like, if you have Magnus just blink in and then he's just stopped, he's just standing around scratching his big elephant balls, what the hell's he gonna do?
Yeah, he's actually got the elephant cosmetic. It looks ugly as hell.
Wizard
Oh,
looks like
man.
Wizard's Omni Knight is like 500 years old.
You're right. He's like a dwarf.
And Silmarion's Tiny is of course ready for Christmas. It is indeed Witch Doctor Timbersaw offlane, which is a bit tragic for them because it is indeed Omni Knight in the safe lane, which means they're not going to do anything to him there.
That's
Nope.
true.
If
Nope, they can't be doing it.
if Tiny had already been nerfed, I think I would have had to give this one to DotFE. But because he hasn't been nerfed when this game happened, I do think it's definitely harder to call. It's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot riding on Silencer, and I think the OD is going to be, unfortunately for them, the second time in this season so far. I think OD might be a bit of an anchor for them. They're just going to have to work around that. Like, it would be impossibly bad. It just have, like, you know, CK ults, he's going crazy, he goes in, and then suddenly, like, you know, the MVP is put in jail, and Howler starts thinking about the Meteor Hammer, and Chaos Knight is just sitting there wasted W,
Prepare for battle.
you know. That would be very bad. It's going to be very, very, very important for Howler. His execution has got to be on point this game. And to be blunt with you, this is not going to be very nice. So sorry, Howler, I know you're reformed. With the Storm Spirit game that we saw from them the week prior to this, does not inspire that much confidence that he's going to be blowing us away tonight.
Now,
You know-
looking over here, I gotta point out something. The way they're already formed out position-wise really tells me which team is already got their heads in the game.
Alexa Jack's going to be 4? This is interesting.
What I would
30
assume, yeah.
seconds to
We still
battle.
got Jakiro milling around in the base over on Dire side. People are just kind of figuring out where they're supposed to be going. I don't think they know at this point.
Yep.
Looks a little uncoordinated.
Sort of thing happens.
We got dueling FELFs in this game.
And let the games begin.
The battle begins.
Howler going to poke his head out near this rune here, but really do nothing more than just show he's there.
I
Just
wouldn't
go
go for
straight
that.
50-50. Yeah, it was very dangerous, but nobody wanted to cast the first stone. Well, yeah, looks like it's going to be they're doing some funny lane junk with this lineup. All right,
SPAZ hoping for an appearance in 5 lanes 4-5s.
hopefully. All right, and yeah, if there would ever be a time when it would happen, it would definitely be in the game he played against you.
That's true.
All right, let's go down the list here. DotFE, pause 1, we've got Katie on the Chaos Knight. Pause 2, we've got Howler on the OD, who has just high-fived London. Two very reformed players. Pause 3, you've got Yan Yan on the Timbersaw. He's not sponsored by, he's part of Sloots. Pause 4, Alexa Jax, formerly the Pause 5, now up here in this lane. Pause 4, Alexa Jax on the Silencer. And Pause 5, you've got the Witch Doctor being played by SPAZ. Now this is interesting. This is interesting. Because,
yeah, they've rotated their lanes out here.
yeah,
They
they said,
decided the Tide would do better against this Timber lane than Tiny would.
right. Honestly, I think if I'm DotFE, I think the strategy here is just play along. I think the strategy is reverse your lanes too. Just keep chasing them with the superior comp, basically. Send CK and Witch Doctor up top. Send Timber and Silencer down here. Anyway. As I was about to say, so on the GGs, we're going to be doing some funny business here. Not the GGs, on 5G. Silmarion, pause 1 on the Tiny. Pause 2, we've got London on the Magnus. Pause 3, we've got Obi, team captain, on that Tidehunter, who's sponsored by Stinky. Pause 4, we've got Tennyson on the Jakiro.
And not for long.
pause 5, of course, we've got Wizard on that Omni Knight.
Yeah, the man himself taking
Radiant's
some
middle
trades here.
tower is under attack.
A
Real risky.
bit of a slow coconut there.
Ooh.
They stacked their stuns. Unfortunate.
Yep.
Yikes.
Stuns
Quite
weren't
the
stacked
mauling
there.
on both ends.
Stuns weren't stacked there. That might have been a kill.
Ooh,
CK needs to
Jakiro's
just
dying.
walk up and Chaos Bolt.
Kira's dying up top. Barely got away from something. Ooh. Maledict, but I think it might have been on the wrong person.
Yeah, but this is pre-buff to those early level Maledicts. That's not really going to do much more than cancel the Sav.
That's unfortunate.
You know, hey, it'll be a lot more interesting if that happens to you next week. This matchup at mid is not really going in Aller's favor so far, to be blunt with you. Down 10 last hits, down 8 denies. Against a melee hero as OD, that is not what you want to see.
It's like
Been killed.
it's like the CS number you would expect to see on like a pause one who's having a super bad lane, not a mid.
Right. I wasn't stuck that
Yeah,
time, but the
think-
Maledict was
I think
super
it was-
late.
It was a little stacked, but it's fine.
Everything just kind of came out a little mistimed there. Reminds of the WSC game we saw earlier this
Yeah,
week.
even being pressed with that Maledict, they're just not really able to press into that attack. They can't. They just don't have the damage.
You know, I've said before, Witch Doctor is just too perfectly countered by even the support line to be a safe first pick. This is exactly what I was talking about in this sort of situation. Like, they just can't do anything in this lane because, you know, the second Omni Knight hits Q, the second Omni Knight hits W, it's all over. I mean, what good is Maledict when this is on you? I mean, I know it's not magic
Yeah,
immunity
sure.
anymore, but it might as well be in this specific case.
It is a very good spell, and Wizard does the most too, going into it.
Ooh.
Situation for Howler's getting a little
Ooh.
worse.
We're seeing a lot of damage go out on both sides, but nobody's dropping dead. It's almost 5 minutes in and there's no first blood. What is this?
I mean, this is a game where the only lane that's not, like, the only figure in either of these lanes that's not super tanky is Tiny. First blood finally going down. Wizard just takes his
Guess,
trades a little too far. Gives Chaos
Yeah, I
Knight
guess
for
you got a little too confident.
this Chaos Knight set that Katie doesn't actually own anymore since the game.
Versus
Timbersaw is never going to get any kills in this lane. I can assure you of that, alright?
Ooh.
Well,
okay, or
Ooh,
she's
oh,
said
missed the tree
was-
by a meter.
the trees got cut down.
sad thing is, even if he had landed the chain there, I don't think that's a kill. Definitely not with a level 1 chain. The problem with Timbersaw in lane right now is that his numbers are bad enough where you pretty much just have to stomp into reactive armor, which means that you're pretty much like a you know, DK mid scenario for a while. You're not going to realistically get any kills. You're just going to be able to survive and just, you know, tank the wave, get last hits at your own
It's
leisure.
slightly annoying, yeah.
Until I would say level 6, really. The first time you have any realistic ability to actually fight back. Wizard is coming down here trying to muck up a pull down here. It's successfully mucked up to some degree. It's caused a bit of confusion in the equilibrium in this lane. Notably, even though Tiny's out here in the off lane, he's actually still doing better than his equivalent in the enemy safe lane. Last hit wise, which isn't much of a surprise. You pretty much have no support in this lane. I can understand why Jakiro didn't want to go mid now. I will definitely, now there's been some very public discourse about this, I will definitely say I do think I agree with the assertion that sending Jakiro to gank mid in this game is definitely not going to be a good idea. you know, Magnus is more than able to survive for himself here. He's just gonna
Yes.
kill OD
Yeah.
very casually. Down he goes.
Very
Magnus is having no trouble in this lane, and just leaving Tidehunter alone up here, just going to make sure Tide gets no farm. I mean, sure, he's never going to die, yeah, but I mean, he's not a great farming hero anyway. He's going to just have to, he's just basically useless when his E isn't up, and he did go all in on E in this lane, but like, why wouldn't you? I mean, you're not going to kill Timbersaw anyway, and it's just better for your farm. He's still not going to get that great of farm, and look where he's at on the core list. He's at the very bottom of that one, and just going away is just going to make that worse, so...
At the very bottom, Feller is.
On his team.
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, that's where ideally your 3 is, I suppose.
Right. I mean, yeah.
But I mean, in practice, it's
Supposed
just
to
not
Your
usually.
3 or
gonna
1
happen.
and your mid in order, which is the unfortunate situation Radiant's in right now.
Right. Seems they've more or less decided that Timbersaw can just survive for his own up there, and it's hard to argue with that. Is he 6 yet? Let's find out. He is 6. Hope he isn't a bit of danger here, more than it looks like. Jakiro is coming back. He had to take the long way home, though. Tidehunter is going to go down.
Dire's top tower is
That
under
level
attack.
6 spike for Timbersaw, showing its fangs there a little bit. He's actually gonna just stick around and chop down Jakiro. Though he doesn't have nearly the amount of mana he needs to do this. This shows the importance, I think, of keeping your supply lines open as a 3 like Timbersaw. If you run out of mana, you run out of ability to influence lane. Alexa Jack, who showed up bot, just getting hammered appropriately enough by Omni Knight there. Just does not win that trade, just gets run right over.
Speaking of getting run right over, it looks like Timbersaw's in the warpath. Nope, he just pieced right out.
Yep, I mean they're definitely not going to do anything to him here. They just do not have the right. They have enough to make him route. They do not have enough to kill, so he is going to be more or less okay. He's got himself some arc boots. That's good for him. He accidentally bought two what do I call them? Blazing blueberries.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Something blueberries. He bought 2 blueberries is the important bit. Chaos Knight going to get a little hammered as supports are going right after Omni Knight outside. This looks a lot worse than it actually is. SPAZ is still
Yeah,
very
it's
low
fine.
leveled. And Tiny is A-okay. The support line had been a little closer to Chaos Knight there. I think that's a kill.
Yeah.
The very least, it forces Omni to drop a lot more than that. But
Yeah, you start to really recognize kill thresholds of Witch Doctor, and that was nowhere near one with Omni on his side.
jungle items starting to come out for 5G. Chip Fest coming out to start, always good. It's going to help if Tidehunter keeps it, and no surprise if it does. It's going to help him get some farm here. You know, we had an anonymous source known as Lambert once told me that Chip Best, one of the very best farming T1 items, just, you know, you'll just casually, subconsciously just get through camps way faster. Gotta keep a tri-lane here up bot for the rest of the lane phase, it seems. Oh, I just walking in at the wrongest possible time there. But CK's out of mana, no reality rift. Even with inputs, still no reality rift.
Even with the reality rift, it's hard to see them killing him with Omni.
Yeah, it's no exaggeration to say that that W is what's keeping him alive this entire lane.
Right. It was making him really insidiously difficult to kill. I don't know why that TP was happening. It's a good thing it canceled.
Dire's top tower.
I do like Timbersaw's little TP animation where he's like waving to the screen. So he's like, "Hey everybody at home, look at me, look at me, look at me." Never mind. And Alex
changed my mind.
That is a DD'd Magnus. I'm surprised he didn't just turn around and smack Witch Doctor upside his head.
Well, it's because he just dropped all of his cooldowns on removing Howler from the planet Earth.
Is under attack.
True.
Gonna get a very
Oh,
casual tide ult here.
It's a good
A bit
run.
hopeful,
Dire's
but
top tower is under
They're
They
gonna,
have
they're
the
gonna take
damage
out
to
the
kill him?
silencer.
they do.
No more from me.
He almost got into Fog of War for a second there and cleared himself away, but unfortunately, didn't happen.
CK making the right choice here, just clearing the hell out of town. Though, unfortunately for him, he happens to clear out of town the moment that they start pulling people out to mid. So it's an important thing as a pause one to know where the enemy team isn't, and right now this bot lane got a lot more safe, though KD's still just kind of dove into the jungle.
As it stands right now, looking at all their team setups, I wholeheartedly believe that, well, I'm just going to say it outright. GG's, I think, has this in the bag already because their team comp is really... It's deceptively dangerous. Like, you think you might be fine if you keep your distance, but no. Tide and Jakiro together already have enough synergy just minimalistically. Between Magnus, Tide, Jakiro, Tiny, and Omni, that is gross, man.
It is very disgusting. On one hand, I do believe that there's going to be a lot on Silencer's plate. Silencer does have a lot of ability to stop that, and it is very possible for him to do so on paper, but I don't know if that happens if you went 0-3 early in the game. Just nothing good came out of it for you, basically.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
That lane phase, this early game has gone as badly as possible for Silencer.
That was a smoke pop headed to mid.
Yep. They're going to be running right into Timbersaw. Getting here at half health. They actually back out. They go the other way.
They barely missed him, I think.
I'm going to go for Howler instead. Or, nope, they're just kind of giving up on the smoke ink, I guess. Very odd. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
Vision. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't have any vision here except the sword that was already there. So, they smoked for no vision. This is going to be on
like
5 flames.
Gold.
Oh, they're going to get Timbersaw here. No, 3 levels of reactive armor, 9 stacks of it on his head already. That's fine as fine can be.
Fine like sand. Ooh, we got a gank going. Oh no, he double tapped.
All right.
Oh, that's a misplay.
Howler may be reformed, but it seems his keyboard is not.
Yikes.
Thank you, Timbersaw. I know I'm a funny guy. You know you're a dead guy. This is the most ambitious, the most ambitious TP in history, and that might have looked like a big ravage, but on the other hand, that just turned his second place net worth Tiny to the first place net worth Tiny. I think that's really more than anything why it's looking very bad for DotFE already. The decision to keep the safe lane in the safe lane and not really have any opposition to Tiny really let him free farm early on. And
yeah, and the lane swap from Wizards team was super smart.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been disastrous for them if it was responded to correctly, I think. It just wasn't. To be blunt with you, it wasn't.
Yeah, Tiny's making a lot of money here just hacking away at these creep camps.
Right. He's looking very unstoppable. And eventually it's going to get to the point... I mentioned... Oh my god, he went right for Shard. He's doing the funny Shard trick. I mentioned...
Shard, 10 strength perk. He is going to be a tanky man.
You know, the worst thing that can happen for Tiny is he blinks in, he's ready to avalanche, but global silence. Well, it doesn't matter if he blinks in and is going to avalanche when he can just right-click you to death.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he'd be better if he had avalanche, but he doesn't need it. And if he doesn't need it, it's very bad. And CK is starting to catch up at the very least. That is good. You know, CK has retreated to this jungle. Is just going to be farming day in, day out.
Ooh, that's too ambitious.
Not on Tide. That would work on a lot of characters, but not on Tide. Everything just got Kraken shelled off. He is A-okay.
You got... Omni's got that Invis rune. He's prowling around. He's looking for something.
By the way, if you want,
see him, though.
If you want one more reason that first pick Witch Doctor backfired this game, you know, Tide Hunter just eats his entire ult. Like, it's like the...
We got some action at top.
I think this action's a little bit more entertaining, to be honest with you. It looks like the action up top cleared out, but the action of Howler putting somebody in jail when the Maledict comes, I mentioned earlier how I felt like the OD pick was very antithetical to this lineup in theory, and it definitely is looking like it in practice too. That's the second time that a mistimed ODW has snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, unfortunately for him.
Tower is under attack.
Philostone coming out for Tiny though. And a Vumbrace, as they say in Italy. So jungle items coming out here. Only the Pupil's Gift on Radiant so far, but you know, CK's been occupying this jungle. One big downside for CK in this matchup is that even though CK is making some money quickly, CK farms way faster on kills than he does on creeps. He is not a fast farmer. He's a modest farmer, okay? He's gonna do better than like, you know, some of your ones. Like, if you have, like, a bad early game as Ursa, he's going to be farming faster than that. If you have, like, a bad early game as Jug, he's going to be farming faster than that. But I'm not really going to say in confidence he's going to be outdoing anybody else.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised Ty didn't go for the optimistic Ravage there to try and catch OD.
Sure, he's thinking about the global silence. And really, I think there's almost a flex there of like, they just drop everything on Tennelson's head, they drop everything on Jakiro's head, and nothing works.
Another 4-man smoke. What are they gonna do this time with it?
Looking at Alexa.
Oh,
leading the
no.
charge.
Oh no.
Looks
Oh
like-
no.
And the skewer back.
Ooh,
You have a global
good
silence.
reflex on the silence, but he's gonna get away with it.
It is not looking much like it.
I think I caught an imprisonment there. Made this a little annoying for them.
Oh no.
It was tied, I believe, but just a little late for that to matter. Tiny just looks at this lane for just half a second to throw out ult. This is getting a little bad. No, RP was saved for this moment. But London's
slow
still
down
not
CK.
in any safety. Whew.
Yeah, this is why I don't like Chaos Knight get that armlet as soon as this, you know, part in the game. That is
the
that is
afterlife
damage.
was there. That was a very confused team fight on 5G as far as it felt like. You know, everybody just kind of split that off into just different directions, just trying to find something to do.
Dire structures are fortified.
And they found something all right. They found the end of Jakiro's life. Finally, some insta for Silencer. There's no Meteor Hammer on OD. It's doing the ball deck thing, okay. You know, hypothetically, he doesn't need it, you know? It's just, you kind of do if you're going to be using your W like this, don't you think?
Yeah, you would think.
Ooh, that's a good reality rift on Tide. That was a very interesting looking fight as you had the reality rift on the Magnus Skewer just kind of going two places here. Global Silence coming out. That's a fantastic Global Silence. Tiny going to go down. That's a huge kill. Omni Knight soon to follow. They have no ability. These guys have no ability to continue this fight. London is going to go in, going to take out the Silencer here, but it's probably going to come at the cost of his own life.
No,
Aussies, no,
Magnus
they're not going
running
to
for his
chase it.
life.
Why the hell are they going to chase that?
Dire's middle tower
That's
has
very
fallen.
interesting. That could have been a 5 for 2 for DotFE without much effort, but they kind of just turned around from that last second. Very afraid of that T2, I guess. Wow, what fight did that team fight on? That was very exciting until it stopped.
Dire's middle tower
That
is
was an
under
amazing kickoff to it, but it kind of dispersed.
It's like letting all the air out
I
of
mean,
the
they
balloon.
killed Sumerian, so like
That's big, but they need bigger than that at this point. Like,
I don't know.
they need bigger
Chaos
than killing
Knight.
Sumerian. I don't think so.
I think they
There is
do.
no bigger than killing that guy.
I
guys,
think with...
I'd like to address that Chaos Knight currently has 1,000 gold lead over Tiny now from that.
That's true. I think the big thing here is it's like the 1,000 gold lead over CK. I think he needs more than that. The kill on Silmarin, I think they need more than that. I think every fight where you lose like anybody big, like OD, they did lose OD for that. I think any fight where you lose anybody big and you don't take Tiny and Magnus, you pretty much didn't win that fight. Like you still made it at
He has
best.
4 gold, so it's not helping the situation.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Tennyson is going to die.
What
Hey, random swap from me.
what was the plan there?
Die.
Radiant's bottom tower
maybe
is under
so.
attack.
Not worth lead has turned into DotFE's advantage for the moment. On and in town. We've seen games, we've seen what happens when London as the Magnus alone is allowed to just survive every fight, is allowed to just keep piling up the cash.
That's true.
He can play it like a carry. Very dangerous for him to have been living even this long, basically, with a comp like that. CK is in a lot of trouble here. CK's dead.
Yeah. London's clear.
Super dead.
Not gonna drop the RP on it, but doesn't need to.
Dire structures.
Yeah, that was
Give a shit
not a
there.
worthwhile trade considering that went to Tide.
Yeah.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Gonna help Obi come back here. It's not the place for the CK to be, in no uncertain terms.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Was assuming, I suppose, that they were gathering here to try and push back out under the T2, but CK doesn't realize, perhaps, what Katie does not realize is that right now she's basically the only victory condition for this team. Like, Silencer, it's very tragic actually, because like, well, goodbye Timbersaw, just gonna get very casually eaten. That's
That
not
was,
too good spills in a row.
Another questionable play.
CK has to live. If everybody else dies and CK survives, it's not disastrous. CK has to live. There's no way they win this game.
Getting skewers back.
But like, well, no, I guess that can't happen either because Silencer has to be alive. I think Silencer has to be alive and CK has to be alive. Every fight. Every time like a major action in this game happens for DotFE, or just they just don't have any chance. Like if these guys are able to just come in and go crazy on the 4, they're able to come and go crazy on everybody but CK, they're just gonna win every time.
Another skewer back.
And goodbye CK.
Yeah, they're getting T-spirited right now. You might want to stop that.
I like that. He's about to. The doctor is out. Howler going way too deep here for a fairly secured kill on a Jakiro. He was likely going to die anyway.
It's 3 straight Super 6 skewers back.
The wheels have officially come off the bus here for DotFE. I think that that path to victory is already just slip sliding away. Tiny's taking back the gold advantage.
I think you just don't let London pick Magnus. That's my advice.
Or if you do, have a real plan to counter it that's more than just, you know, one person kind of counters the pick. Because if one person kind of counters the pick, spoilers, you're just going to kill that person over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Just render them useless in the heart of doing that. You gotta have more of a plan than that. The Silencer is a good idea. I definitely understand why they picked the Silencer. I'm fairly confident they picked the Silencer and therefore knowing they let the Magnus through. They were like, we got it countered. But it just isn't working.
I think you need a Rubik. It's like the only hero that can solo counter Magnus. Anybody else needs way more than just themselves, but Rubik can mess with him.
I think, yeah. Especially without the early game win for Silencer, just went so poorly. Like if Silencer ended lane phase like 1-0-2 instead of 0-3-0, then we might be talking something here, but just not like this. They're definitely not playing very positionally aware. They're not playing like with the awareness that Magnus can do this, at least not yet. But it's very easy for a not yet to turn into a too late in a situation like this. Al are gonna just go deep on the, like without any follow up. What is it gonna do?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Very
Everyone here,
questionable choice.
including London, it's gonna BKB.
Mobile is coming out.
Dire's bottom
Mobile did affect Magnus through BKB. CK is here, but it doesn't matter.
What kind of matters actually?
Well, okay, it does kind of matter if the team's just gonna clear out and not try to bail out Tiny.
Dire's bottom tower.
They
You have the
just-
Aegis. That is a very casual throwaway on that Aegis.
Oh
Okay,
no,
never
the
mind.
RP!
Suddenly it matters again. He didn't even need a tree for that.
Okay.
This is over.
That was some good bait right there.
Who was it that was like, the commentator shouldn't say a game is over? This game is over. I know it's 27 minutes and we don't have a tier 3 down yet.
Who
This
said
is...
it? Someone said that?
Somebody said that was casting with us. It might have been Trash Boat.
Tower has fallen.
It's either Trash Boat or Boss. I think it's Trash Boat. They got the buybacks just flying out here. I don't think it matters. I think that team fight was just game over. Just it would have to be 17 Christmas miracles
Yeah,
to
I
turn
mean,
this around.
He baited with the Aegis kill and then BKB'd after into the RP. It was actually
Radiant's top tower is under
some
attack.
good stuff.
Dire's
It's a good get if they can get it, but no detection.
No, yeah. And London's nearby. What are you gonna do against an empowered Tiny? We saw what they can do against an empowered Tiny just a few seconds ago.
Nothing. Spoilers, the answer is nothing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna let London pick Magnus, at least not let the Tiny through as well. Like,
Right.
come on.
I mean, you know,
What
a
can
lineup
you do
like
against
this is
empowered
going to be,
3 nerf Tiny? Nothing.
you know, a lineup like this is going to be picking meta. Like, you know, if they didn't ban out the DP Sand King, that's 2 picks they got. You know what I mean?
Right.
Alright, wow, I step away for literally a moment, and what has happened now?
Nothing. I don't think anything has happened since the fight at top. which I've been there for.
7k advantage says otherwise, my man. From what
Oh,
was when I walked away, 2k advantage on the other team.
7k advantage says they've just been flash throwing for the last couple of minutes without the other team accomplishing anything.
We're just gonna casually kill their pause 1.
Yeah. Like I said,
Alright.
I know it's apparently poor form for a caster to do this, but like, oof, this is all over but the crying.
Let these heroes through. Why let
Tiny.
these heroes through?
Tiny's all about snowballing, and these guys are currently an avalanche.
Yep. Very appropriate because it's like the Christmas Tiny.
Yeah, you're right.
Timbersaw
that
gonna
Moonshard is-
split top, but like, without any shard, what's he gonna do?
Timbersaw split
Dink.
pusher. Very good.
Dink, dink. Let's see how long it takes for him to clear this tower out. You ready? Nobody's going to TP back for this. I
I
basically
think
guarantee
he's
you.
more
15 minutes
banking on
at
the
this rate.
creeps helping him do damage here, and you can clear Shakiro.
And that's that. Now let's see how
And
this
drop the
bottom
bonfire.
T3 does in contrast.
Are fortified.
Well, that has 5 people on it.
Hey, that's true, but you know the idea of the
Okay,
split pusher is
correct.
that it's supposed to be
God, those crits!
comparable speed.
That
Or
was
that fear, my
nasty.
friends.
Radiant's bottom
Goodbye, Witch Doctor. Just got 2 shot. That
Alright.
could have. That would have been a kill in the span of 1 Echo Saber. Timbersaw says hell with this. I actually probably just got stopped by Tennyson up top.
has fallen.
Ooh, man, this is
Just gonna clear the base out
I
now.
just want to point out that Tiny's got nearly 20,000 net worth.
Tower has fallen.
Yeah,
Now he
Tiny,
does.
Or Tiny.
Has fallen. Radiant's middle tower
Tiny and Magnus can buy all of Radiant, I think. It's pretty dangerously close to that.
is under attack.
Well, the
Is
good
that-
news is
that's
that in the fight between Timbersaw and Jakiro, Timbersaw wins. So you know there's that.
Great.
I'm sure Timbersaw is celebrating that great victory.
Radiant
I'm sure it's nothing,
They're happiest. Oh,
nothing
the
but
skewer.
smiles.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Nothing but smiles.
Yikes.
Yeah, don't let London pick Magnus. That's the worst sin of the day.
No! Tie Hunter's Crimson Guard.
Cast upon the
Wait, Crimson on Tide?
Radiant's middle tower
Yeah, he
is
was bringing
under
that in. Does not
that
interact. For the record, it does
Uh.
not interact.
I was gonna say you were talking for a second. It's making it sound like it did.
Which is weird. Every other source of damage block in the entire game stacks, except specifically Kraken Shell and Vanguard/Crimson. Those do not stack.
Again,
Every single one.
Do you want to see a Vanguard tied at like 5 minutes?
Bring magic damage, bro. It's your own fault. Swamp Sand. Timber Sauce. Finish this shard. Speaking of magic damage. The only magic damage he has anymore.
True. Everything else is pure.
One of the few sources of pure still in the game, to be honest. I'm gonna be real with you. I remember when they changed Phoenix's Sunray from pure to magic, and I was never a fan of that. I thought for a while because they've been slowly chipping away at the amount of pure damage sources in the game. I think isn't Bane's Brain Sap magic now, or wasn't it for some
It's
period
still
of time?
pure.
God,
Pure.
that's
At
incredible.
least if it was magical for a while, it's back to pure again.
Yeah, I was also
rush
really
on.
shocked that Pudge's hook didn't become magic, but I'm pretty sure there'd be actual riots over that.
I'm not really sure why they're not just ending this. Just taking
You
it
got a
one way
point,
to the-
actually. They are very much well in the lead right now, but it might
It's
be
like-
what we in the business call
Waiting
hubris.
for ages.
Yeah, they're waiting for ages. They absolutely don't need it. They could just go win, lose two at this point, basically.
Like they dropped everything they had on Tiny's head earlier, and
Okay. means this
why?
Magic hero. Tight
Matter.
spits on himself.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Ravage comes out.
What are you doing out there, man? Get out!
Global
What are you doing
silence too
coming to
late.
save Timbersaw? Sad.
Timber Saw's like, no, I swear I'm getting out of this. The Tittleson illusion!
No way he gets away! Oh,
No, he doesn't. Timber Saw
He
can
almost got it.
Timber Saw can go out there and just tank till the cows come home, but what does it matter when he does no damage?
You know, I would have said that bought his team some time to all come back, but unfortunately, that also led to OD dying trying to help.
Yeah, OD died trying to help, and you know, Timber Saw is the most valuable person on that team. Has taken a lot more farm, it seems, than the Seek has. Maybe they should. No, he is. He does not have more left yet, so
Is under attack.
there is that. Ancient falls down,
Dire victory.
and that's it. All right.
Alright. Don't let London pick Magnus. The
Yep.
end.
Number one, don't let that happen. Number two, don't let anybody pick Tiny and actually make it a carry this patch. People were really bashful for doing that in LD2L, and I don't know why. My game plan is out of date.
It sure is.
People were very bashful about doing that in LD2L when Tiny 1 was still like the best one in history in this patch. I'm not really sure why. But don't let the Tiny through either. That Tiny was, I think, actually just worse than the Magnus this game. Like, Magnus was bad, but it felt like he was almost just this check that just didn't even need to be cashed. Like, yeah, he got the cool skewers, but he only got the cool skewers after the game was already more or less decided, you know? He was
basically a walking cleave buff for Tiny.
right. He was a walking, talking insurance policy that just never needed to be cashed. And Tiny was just killing everybody and everything. He was just demolishing the entire world, and they just never had an answer for him. He died one time, like really, really early on in the game, and that was it. Magnus, for the record, also only died one time. Even if Tiny had done bad, they still had the Magnus behind them, and it's London on Magnus. You know that's not going to flop. At least it shouldn't. Don't let these heroes through. Don't pick this team comp. Like, the OD was such a team comp screw here. Like, the OD actually cost him, I think, legitimately, more kills than he got. And he ended with a negative KDA anyway, which, that ain't great. I think he ultimately ended up costing them more kills than he got. I think he ended up costing them more.
Yeah, I'd like to address something about OD and that a lot of people seem to identify with him, is that his W, Astral Prison, is very, very much meant to trap heroes who like to run away from their targets and keep their pace or keep their spacing and distance, and allow your team to sort of swarm over them, give them a chance to just circle them and beat them the hell up. Unfortunately, like all of maybe like one person over on the GGs does not want that to happen. It was Jakiro. Just Jakiro. You
Right.
surround Omni Knight, he's gonna hit you with his big pure damage AoE. You try to hit Tiny, he's just gonna drop his stun and fling someone into Mars. Well, the planet, not the hero.
Y'all grew
you
up
go to
on Magnus? Or
you made the
Tidehunter?
worst mistake here. Yeah.
No,
You made a mistake.
it was a very bad pick. You know, I gotta say, you know, the Pango into DP picks we've seen, those have been pretty bad. You know, but like the OD with this lineup, I think this is the only pick we've seen so far this season that like actively owned his team more than helped. And I don't know, I don't know if I would say that's all on Howler. That's just the nature of the beast when you get a pick like this. I mean, he did make a few whoopsie doodles, as we say in the business, like mid when he just randomly put himself in jail, and at the end of the game where he has less net worth than his PAWS 5. But like, where PAWS 4 actually, he's doing a little better than his 5. I don't think it's all on Howler here. I do think there were some mistakes, but like the pick was such a self-troll. And just very unfortunate that, you know, Smoke to Ups, you know, compared to his performance last week, compared to his performance on his debut week, right? I think his itemization was a little bit better. His play was a lot better, but it didn't matter because he's on a prestigious member of the 45% club in a game where he's very counterpicked. I don't know. I think DotFA needs to get their heads together on draft. Things have changed, and I think
if you ask me, sorry, go on.
Maybe they've taken the gold from Balladek's lineup here, because this is self troll for sure. I don't know. What were you saying, Ocelot?
I actually want to posit the hypothetical situation here of what if instead of picking OD, they had gone for something a little more safe like Lifestealer. Do you think that would have made a difference? Probably against maybe Magnus, kind of against Tiny.
Over CK, if they pick Lifestealer mid and send him mid against Magnus, they lose this game 100 times out of 100.
I feel like they could have pretty safely actually sent Silencer mid potentially, because Magnus has some good ability to get some gank potential. He's got good charges and he's got his cleave, but he really can't do much in the way of keeping up his last hits with Empower while also having to suffer constant DOTs from Silencer. And if anyone tries to jump him, it's just a press of the button, and I'm going to be blunt with you here. The cast animation for Global Silence is a lot faster than RP.
Yeah, that's a much more that I will say. If we have Silencer on 2 instead of 4, I do think you get a much better result here. And while I don't know if I would send the Lifestealer in place of the OD, I do think the OD just needs to not be in this comp. I think I would gladly have Lifestealer in this place over CK Lifestealer. Just really somebody that Magnus just can't do a lot about. Very frustrating for Magnus. You know, he's got the RP, sure, but what does the RP matter without the cleave? Or not the cleave, without the skewer? It's a lot harder to make anything happen there. He gets a lot of HP off of Magnus, who's an HP balloon. He gets a lot of HP off of Tidehunter, who's an HP balloon. Gets a lot out of Tiny, who's an HP balloon. Forces Tiny to like not build that Satanic. Forces him to get that Silver Edge as early as possible. Has to skip that Moon Shard. Yeah, I do think Lifestealer definitely be a better one here. That OD, like, you know, I think we kind of predicted it correctly in the lane phase. Bit of an anchor around my neck. Yeah. Either way, we'll see if these guys can turn it around, can get a little bit more smoke here next time.